G'day Gorgeous, and welcome to the podcast that is dedicated to turning entrepreneurial women into a millionairess from the inside out and enriching lives for generations to come. This week's podcast, Money, Failure and the new Millionairess 80-20 rule. Based on a question from one of our ladies, Donna, she says, Amanda, I'm feeling depressed. Last year I started a new online business and it's been a disaster. I feel like a failure and I'm worried about my money running out. Please give some advice. Wow, I think we've all been through those feelings. The Gday Gorgeous podcast is where you're going to get real, raw and relatable stories, answers, guidance, and especially proven formulas that can help you overcome your frustrations and live a life that you truly love each and every day. I'm Amanda Jane Clarkson. I'm a best-selling author, inspirational speaker, entrepreneur, and millionairess mentor. And of course, if you love the idea of being a millionairess too, pop over and visit us at Gday Gorgeous, Gday Gorgeous.com, or click the link in the notes below. Of course, be sure to have your journal and a lovely cup of tea ready for your aha learnings, because today I am going to get raw and real. Let's begin. I'll see you in there. Good morning, gorgeous butterflies. I will give you a moment to join me for today's fast-paced podcast. Hope you've got your journal. Today is fast-paced and full of gold. Today's podcast is, even though it's a question from one of you, I'm hoping you'll jump on because I know who it's from. Donna is clearly not your real name. However, this podcast is covering for all of you entrepreneurs, and we all go through this, whether you think you will or won't. You're on for a bit of inspiration. Good girl. Well, there you go. I'm not going to waste time today. As I said, today is going to be a fast-paced podcast. So ladies, make sure you have your journal, because I'm going to share some hot tips and strategies here. We all go through it. I'm going to read out Donna's question and jump straight in to save us time. The question is this: Amanda, I'm feeling depressed. Anyone ever feel depressed on the roller coaster of entrepreneurship and life? She says, last year I started a new online business and it's been a disaster. I feel like a failure and now I'm worried about my money running out. Please give some advice. Today I'm going to share 3 things that I want to focus on. And I think it's vitally important because as entrepreneurs, we all go through this, and it's vitally important not to let your failure get in the way of success. So I'm going to cover 3 things: money, failure, and the new Millionairess 80-20 rule. I'm not going to start with money though. I'm going to start with one of the subjects that people are divided on: failure. Is it good? Is it bad? Some people let it take over their life, ruin their life. However, there is a different way of looking at failure. And I talk about perceptions, which are clearly just our thoughts. If we can change our perceptions and ask better questions around failure, here would be my feedback based on countless perceived failures. 33 jobs, 14 businesses, of which 10 failed, 4 amazingly successful in their own unique way. However, still going through those failures and having to deal with the inner turmoil, the external eyes on you, people waiting for you to fail, some feeling for you, some cheering you on that you failed. We all know how that feels, right? And so how do you deal with this? The first thing I ask myself when I have a perceived failure: why did I fail? Why did I fail at this particular business? And it's about taking some time out to really think about it. And the thing that I would say is the most dangerous thing that you can do when you have a perceived failure in your life, and that word is retreat. As a millionairess or an entrepreneur in business, if you're a guy listening to this, the last thing that you want to do is retreat and hide. Because when you retreat and hide, it changes your emotional state. It is hard to come back out and face the world. And I know because I've been in this situation countless times. And it is the best way to come out of that is to find solace within a mastermind community. And I would say, don't talk about your failures with other people. And I know that's hard because we want to talk about it to make ourselves feel kind of better, and to come up with all the excuses and the reasons why we didn't get going with that business and make it successful. And so that one of the questions I ask myself is, why did I fail? Was this business that I was trying to get going, was it about the money or was it on purpose? And that is a really hard question. And I know I've spoken about this on a last podcast, and I called it Heartful Money and Heartless Money. Now, there is no right or wrong and no judgment, because millions and millions of entrepreneurs make money with what I call a heartless product, or maybe even service, where they're not where they're attached to the financial outcome, but it's not driven from within. They don't feel that it's their life purpose. They're merely in it to make money. Again, I have been in that particular business many times. For me, though, those businesses failed each and every time. And so you've got to ask yourself, is the universe trying to tell me something? If I have failed at this online business and I'm feeling miserable, what are the benefits from failing? Yes, I know there is a financial loss, but also it really can knock your ego around and your emotions become out of control sometimes. You want to retreat. You feel embarrassed, you feel worthless, you feel shameful, guilty that you've lost the money, or the money's gone and you can't retract it. You can't get it back. Who has felt like that? I've got a bunch of women on here now. Thank you all for joining me. I won't call out each name, but who has been through those emotional roller coaster or that turmoil of feeling like a failure and then going, oh my God, I feel so embarrassed. I just want to hide from the world. It is so easy to retreat. But here's what I've learned to do over the years. And I'm talking from 30 years now of being in the trenches. It's easier said than done. But I look at it and I go, how can I flip this on its head and ask myself, how has this failure served me? What are all the things that I have learnt about myself and the business? Is this a business that my heart was really in? Because here is the truth. And I'm going to get straight to the point on this podcast today, and it might piss a few people off, but hey, this is real life, and that's what this podcast is about. Real, raw, and relatable stories based on truth and real education, not theory. The thing is this, the faster we look at what we perceive as failure and flip it on its head and say, well, what are the benefits about this? What have I learnt about myself? Am I really being true to what I have been put on this planet to achieve with my life? Is this really my purpose? Or like many other people, have I just been chasing the next shiny object, hoping that it would make money? Again, I have done that, made money, but it wasn't fulfilling for me. And then I ask myself, how can I turn it around? How can I use this as an experience to learn from and move forward? Get out of my own way and ask myself some better questions. And here's the thing, and Tony Robbins says it all the time, the quality of our questions will determine the quality of our life. And so here's what I would say about people who retreat down when they're down and out. And I have gone through this. Retreating breeds weakness and dependence. And I would say you're better than that. And, I remember a time when I failed miserably at one of the businesses. We'd invested a lot of money and I was having some flack from a lot of people. And I remember waking up one day and I remember just wanting to stay in bed and literally hide away from the world. I was asking myself, how did I get here when I truly couldn't see it coming? I was just working really hard and not getting the results that I'd hoped for. But the business was just a miserable failure. And I remember laying in bed and asking myself, am I going to stay here and let myself go down with underneath all of these emotions, because we all know that the lower the vibration that we have, we can start to slip into feelings of depression, feelings of worthlessness, feelings of anxiety. And then before you know it, you can find yourself so far down that it seems like such a long way up. And thankfully, I made a decision to say to myself, you know what? You're better than this. You can recover from this. You can get inside your mastermind and ask different questions. Ask yourself, is this the business that is right for me? Who cares? I just say it's like a jacket of life. Now, here's the thing, and it might sound like I'm flippant about the money you've lost, but here's the truth. You can always get more money, but you cannot get more time. And I always look at myself and say, I am more important, I am more worthy of just money. And so people get this really crazy stuff around money and they let themselves go down about money that is supposedly lost. Now, money is only ever lost if you don't know how to make it. Now, isn't that an interesting concept? There's so much money out there. The world has so much abundance, and there is just money waiting for you to attract into your life. But you've got to become the person who is able to attract that money. And so for every failure in life and business, I ask myself, how has it served me? Who have I become? And what are the better questions I can ask next time? Perhaps looking at a different business and saying, wow, is this really right for me, or have I got more in me? What is it about me that I can take to the world? What are my unique talents or gifts or things that I have learnt that I could develop and share with the world? I've got to take a service to the business. Here's the thing. Most people want money, but they don't think about the product or service that they are taking to the world. And you've got to ask yourself, what problem is my product and service solving? And so take the thinking off yourself, take the limelight off yourself, and think about other people. That's how you can pull yourself out from feeling like you're going down into that dark pit. In other words, how do we become bigger than our problems? How can we solve other people's problems to take the limelight off ourselves and stop feeling sorry for ourselves? I know this sounds harsh, but it's the only way out. And I'm not the type of mentor who mollycoddles people when they are down and out. I empathize, I completely understand because I've been there so many times. But in truth and reality, let's face it, when somebody is sympathizing with you, going down that dark hole with you, is it really serving you? Is it really helping the situation? Not really, because it just breeds more and more and more anxiety, depression, resentment, guilt, shame, all that stuff. So I'm the type of person who would rather someone say, girlfriend, pick yourself back up and ask yourself, how can you be better than this? How can you solve better problems? How can you use this as a learning and see it as another jacket of life that wasn't the right fit for you? Because here's what I would say about failure, and then I'm going to move on to something else. If it was truly in your highest interest, and I have to learn this over years, through trial and error, if the business was really right for you, here's what I know to be the truth. You would find a way to go over, under, or around the hurdle. If the business is truly who you are and it's coming from inside, like inspired, not out external where you need motivation, it's truly who you are and you're using your creative juices and you're taking a loving service or product to the market, a bit like you, Amantha Fife, you will find a way to pick yourself up naturally. You won't need outside motivation. You won't need to find different, you'll need to find different solutions, but you won't be asking these questions of yourself like, will I quit? Sometimes these hurdles and potholes will seem extremely difficult to get over, but here's what I know because I'm living it, and I can speak from my own truth here. For the 4 businesses that have been successful, and I'm saying one of the one that I'm in now, it is from my heart and from my soul. On the worst of the worst days, never once do I think that I'm going to throw in the towel. Never once have I been prepared to walk away. Yes, it can feel painful in the moment, but I'm always asking myself, Amanda, how can you pivot? How can you look at this issue in a different way? Who can you lean in on? Who can you ask for support or advice? And then I only turn to my mastermind. I never ever talk about any of my business problems with anyone outside of my mastermind or a mentor who has a result that I want. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for pity. I'm looking for answers and solutions. Ladies, I hope you're writing this down because this is gold. You are better than that. So the second thing that I'm going to talk about today is the brand new Millionairess 80-20 rule. Now, we've all heard of the 80-20 rule, which is 20% of your efforts will give you 80% of your results. The question is, what are you focused on? What you haven't got or what you want to achieve? See, there's a gap that we need to bridge between where you are to where you want to get to. So I'm always focused on where I am going. What's not missing, what's not working out for me, what I haven't got will give you more of that because we end up getting that which we focus on. And so when I say it is the brand new Millionairess 80-20 rule, here's what I want you to think about. Think about the iceberg, and underneath the water is the massive part of the ice block, and above the water you might see a tiny peak. Let's imagine that is the 80-20 rule. 80% is the stuff you don't see. We'll call that the invisible. And here's the thing about business and money and success. It is an inside job. 20%, which is the visible part, write that down, is your tactic and strategy around business. You've got to ask yourself, you have 2 identical businesses, almost identical, might be in a different suburb. One fails miserably, one booms. Bang, it's just success after success after success. What is the difference? The difference is the person behind the wheel, or the captainess of the ship, that I like to say. I know I've made up that word. You don't have to tell me it's not a word. It's our word, isn't it, ladies? You've got to ask yourself, what are you focused on? What are your priorities? And this is the new 80-20 rule. Now, here's what I'll also say that some people won't like. There are millions and millions and millions of wannabe entrepreneurs out there, starting a business every single day for all the wrong reasons. They're starting it because it seems like a good idea. They got a message on Facebook, somebody else is making a go of it and making money, and they think, well, shit, that's a good idea. I'm going to get into that business. Why am I saying this? Because I have done it myself. Give me a thumbs up or a sign if you know what I'm talking about, if you have done it as well, okay? I am speaking from truth here and sharing a lot of my own experience. And so many wannabe entrepreneurs, but they all want the tactics and the strategy. Just get to the meat and potatoes, Amanda. Don't give me any of that bullshit stuff about mindset. I know it all. Has anyone ever been that person? And it's interesting when I do many, many wealth creation seminars and we talk about the Millionairess mindset and people go, just give me the tactics and the strategy. I've got that covered. Here's what I would say. If you knowed it, you would have done it. Or if you knew it, you would have done it. If you want better English. The thing is, success is all the invisible part of the iceberg. That is the part that I spend most of my time on. Conditioning myself like an athlete, working on my mindset, my Millionairess mindset, and then the 20% of the tactic and the strategy becomes easier. But people have it all back the front. They want the strategy, but they're not conditioned like an athlete inside. Because that's where the success comes from. It is the way we think, it's the way we perceive things, and it's the people that we attract into our lives. You see? And so this is what I would say to you. Don't see Focusing on your inner self as a chore. See it as a way to build a financial wall around you and your family. And see it as your friend. And this is why I invest. And I say invest because it doesn't cost me anything. I invest up to 4 to 6 sometimes. Even if it's 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. Time on working on my inner strength before I take it to the outside world. Do I still come up against hurdles and potholes and issues? Absolutely. But as a conditioned athlete in business, do you think that you can handle these potholes and go over or around or under these hurdles easier? Of course you can. And so all of the wannabe entrepreneurs out there who continue to fail, but they stay down, they retreat and they don't come back out, it tells me that they haven't conditioned their mind. And it is vitally important to understand that the invisible part of success, which is the 80%, that's why I call it the new Millionairess 80-20 rule, we focus on the 80%. And then the 20% becomes so much easier. Because you're just like an athlete, you won't stop. Think about Rocky when he was in the arena boxing. You know, so many hits. He just took hit after hit after hit after hit. And a person that's not conditioned for that, hasn't trained for that, is not mentally strong and fit inside, they'd just stay down there on the first punch, wouldn't they? And so you've got to become an athlete in life, become an athlete in business internally. And that's why I say we look at the whole holistic part of our life, the 7 different areas. You know, it matters. If you want to make money, you want to be successful in business, it's going to affect every area of your life. And I always say, without the right health and well-being, you can't expect to have success in business and money long term. Money alone will never make you happy. However, having money and being money's master, can make you happier. Because money can solve many, many problems. And that's the third thing I'm going to jump into now. Give me a sign, ladies, if this is helpful. You're taking lots of notes. It's kind of like a little bit of a rampage podcast today. But, you know, I can feel the emotion in Donna's question, and I know who this lady is. And, you know, when I say you are better than retreating into your problems, you are far more gifted than you give yourself credit for. All of you on this podcast are far more gifted than you probably give yourself credit for. I know this because I've gone through it myself, and I've had so many mentors who have helped pull me out of the trenches when I felt like going down. Someone saying, I'm loving this. Now I want to talk about money. The good part of money and the part, well, I'll call it good debt, bad debt. Now, I learnt that off Robert Kiyosaki back in 1997 when I first went on this journey of personal empowerment. The very first book Matt and I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he talked about good credit or good debt, bad debt. And here's the thing that I'd say about money, and what Donna's saying is, now I'm worried about my money. Okay, and then they start to wonder where they're going to spend their money, and then they get, really scared. This is, you know, most people, including myself sometimes, I've been in this space, we hold on to our money. But is that a mistake or not? Here's the truth. Money goes to those who appreciate it and have a plan for it, and have a service and a product for the market that will solve problems or answer questions and enrich people's lives. And so if you're sitting there in fear holding on to your money, here's the truth. We all have money. There is no such thing that somebody's saying, I have no money, I can't afford it. You've got to flip your thinking, change your perception, and ask yourself, how can I afford it? Here's the truth. We all have money and spend our money on what we perceive is going to give us more benefit than drawback, or whatever we perceive is going to be more fulfilling or important to us. Now, sometimes we waste our money, we skitter it away and, spend it willy-nilly. And then at the end of the week, we go, well, where's all my money gone? I thought I had more money than this. In fact, I don't even know where it goes. Now, again, this is not a judgment to make anyone right or wrong because I've done it myself. Before you have money, and money will work for you and it will grow for you, and you'll be able to become financially independent, maybe even wealthy, you need to have a plan for money. And the only way that you are going to be able to attract money into your life, first of all, attract it in, hold on to it, and then make it work for you so that you become its master, is to have a product and service that you take to the marketplace. And so I ask you, what are we focusing on? Holding on to it and being frightened, or asking ourselves, how can we become better, overcome our problems, create a great product and service, and serve other people? Instead of worrying about our problems, think about their problems. That's how I flipped it around. In those days where I wanted to pull that doona up over my face, that's how I got myself out of the dark spot. That's how I got myself out of bed and said, hey girl, you're better than this. Go and focus on somebody else's problem and solve somebody else's problem and enrich somebody else's life, and you'll never have to worry about money again. Remember, there is an abundance of money. And so going back to good debt, bad debt. Now, I'm not suggesting that anybody spend their money in any other way than they want to, but here's what we did. There were once upon a time when we were living off credit. However, I call it good debt is investing in yourself. Bad debt is spending your money on stuff that is a liability or that doesn't enrich your life. And so when we were desperate to pull ourselves out of the hole that we were in a hole financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We lost everything. We got a credit card and invested into a mentor. It's the first thing we did. And I call that smart or good debt. We invested in a mentor, and in fact, I have started 6 businesses on credit card debt. The thing is this, in business, and especially if you want to become financially independent, you've got to back yourself. But if you're retreating in here from the world, then it's hard to back yourself. First of all, you've got to stand up. Condition your mind. That's why I'm saying it's an 80-20 rule, 80% invisible, 20% visible. And then use your money wisely. I know you all have money, and I'm saying this out there to everyone, but answering Donna's question, and I said it to myself. Amanda, the little bit of money that you've got coming in each week, which is not going very far, take a portion of it and invest into yourself. Invest into a mentor who has what you want. Now, yesterday I had the privilege of interviewing Dr. John Demartini, and we talked about money, we talked about business, we talked about mental health issues. Now, that podcast is not coming out for a couple of weeks, but we spoke about these things. And the one thing that Dr. John Demartini said on the podcast yesterday was, get a mentor, especially when it comes to money. Invest in a mentor who has the result that you want. Now, I've been saying that myself for the past 20 years. Spend your money or invest your money more wisely. Don't fritter it away. Don't allow your emotions to overrule intelligent thinking. And that is why I say the more we condition ourselves and become a master of our emotions, then we can become a master of our destiny, or the captaineress of our life ship instead of the deck hand. I mean, who wakes up in the morning and wants to be a deckhand in their life? None of us. But it takes energy and effort. It takes commitment. It takes responsibility. It takes being able to look at yourself in the mirror and appreciate all the experiences. And that's what I would say about money. If you are in fear and you're holding on to that last bit thinking it's going to run out, where are you spending it? Invest into yourself, because you are the business. You are your best bet. You are your best investment. That's what I would say about money. And then when you start to get control of your emotions and therefore your money, what's going to happen? You're going to start to vibrate at a higher level, feel better about yourself, come out of the darkness, and you will see new opportunities come before you, new people, new ideas. You'll be able to think about solving problems for other people, and what will happen in turn? Money will flow to you if you have a proper blueprint, which is for a whole nother podcast. So that is how I would answer that question, Donna, and I hope you can see and feel that has come from my heart. I have been there so many times. That's how I pulled myself out of the darkness, took the focus from me to other people, turned my life around, and in turn became financially independent, where now we have money working for us. We are the master of our money instead of us having to go out there and work. I do this work. This is not even work really. This is what I'm born to do, because I love it. I absolutely couldn't think of anything else I'd rather do. And that's all I hope for you as well. So ladies, that ends our podcast today. I truly hope you found value in that. And you know, we don't have to sit there in fear. We don't have to sit there in pain. We don't need to feel sorry for ourselves. We need to get past ourselves. As John says yesterday, have a cause bigger than yourself, or you'll never get beyond yourself. So ladies, that is it for our podcast today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I really appreciate so many of you being on here. Really appreciate you being here. I'm sending you big kisses and cyber hugs. Big day today. Ladies, leave a comment. You know, some of you won't like the information I share with you. You'll feel like but Amanda's having a go at me, or she's talking about me, or she's picking on me. Not so, not so. I am just injecting a little bit of love and Millionairess strength into your heart and soul. Wow, I hope you took so many notes. I know I was forthcoming. However, I have your best interest at heart always. Of course, I appreciate you tuning into the Gday Gorgeous podcast that is dedicated to turning entrepreneurial women into a millionairess from the inside out, enriching lives for generations to come. I would be super grateful if you would please share this podcast with your friends, families, girlfriends, other people that you know would greatly benefit from the real education and training that we share. Lastly, to find out more about Millionairess mentoring for entrepreneurial women, my latest book, and of course, inspirational stories, pop over and visit us at gdaygorgeous.com, gdaygorgeous.com. And of course, till next week, be bold, be courageous, and even more fabulous. Bye for now.